Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the DVC Show. I am your host, Paul Krieger, and I am joined at the table this week by Senior Sales Associate for DVC Resale Market, Derek DeBoer.
Hey now.
I think he's also the self-appointed East Coast ambassador because he's always at Vero Beach.
That is very true, Paul.
It's either you're at Vero Beach or you're in this chair.
I haven't been in this chair in a year, so no, I'm probably a bureau.
And my lovely wife, Amy Krieger, she is the loan origination manager for Monera Financial. If you want to go after her heart, just buy her a sandwich at the Boardwalk Deli.
Oh my goodness.
You need to give her an ambassador title of some sort too, as well. So
Boardwalk Deli sandwich ambassador.
I professed my love for a sandwich a couple shows ago, and
Yeah,
they won't let it go now.
If you missed that episode, make sure to go back. And our producer, John Sakari, aka Big Fat Panda, who is just a wonderful all around person.
Thank you so much.
You are so wonderful because you brought me the creepiest little Mickey Mouse back from a recent.
Oh, why do his arms have to move?
I don't know.
So the truth is, the one I've got, he's got about 30 pounds on him, size wise. So that's why I've got mine. I got to take a picture of mine for you to show you the difference.
So mine's been doing Weight Watchers.
Correct.
So, okay. This is the type of thing that haunts you in your dreams.
Yeah.
They nailed it. They really
folks,
did.
do not stare into its eyes, please.
They're slightly off center.
Look away.
Slightly off, and the arms really are unnerving. Like when you jiggle it. But I am so excited to just put this right next to Amy's bedside, so that she wakes up every morning and stares it in the face.
There's like a little Hershey's Kiss tag at the end that says, "Do not taunt."
It's the ambassador of creepy toys right there.
There you go.
Okay, you know what? I don't want to get too far derailed.
We're
but
already done.
Jump in.
When I was a kid, my dad had that monkey from that. I think it was like a Stephen King book.
Like this?
With the symbols.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, he had it, and I was terrified of it. And we're on the same plane here.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to this week's show. We're so happy to have you here. As always, we have a good time making these shows, and the best way for you to show your support in the love of the product and the goofy times that we have here is by showing some support for our sponsors over at the World of DVC. DVC Resale Market, if you're looking to buy a Disney Vacation Club contract or looking to sell your Disney Vacation Club contract, they will help you out over there. Monera Financial, if you're looking to buy and need some financial assistance with that, they can help you by financing that purchase. And then also DVC Rental Store. Trying before you buy, renting DVC points will save you up to 65% as compared to direct through Disney. Or if you have extra points this year and you're looking to rent out those points, DVC Rental Store can help you with that also. So please show some love for our sponsors. We've gotten so far derailed, I don't even remember what we're going to talk about. 2042. I think that's it.
The typical segue from a creepy symbol holding monkey into 2042 contracts.
I just want to go back to those conversations. But so this week's show, we're going to really be discussing something that's been coming up in topics a lot. It comes up every year, and you just sort of have to revisit it. But this is the first year that is interesting because we are inside 20 years. So 2042 Disney Vacation Club properties, are they still worth it? What value do they hold? Is really sort of what we wanted to touch on. And for those of you unfamiliar with what we're talking about, every Disney Vacation Club property has an expiration date, and that is set when the actual resort is originally going on sale. So a lot of the original properties that went on sale long ago, several of them including Old Key West, Vero Beach, Hilton Head, Boardwalk, and Beach Club all hold...
And Boulder Ridge.
Boulder Ridge, forgot one. All 6 of those properties hold a 2042 expiration date, which essentially means that at 2042, the year 2042, that is when those contracts expire. There will be no more points after that date. Well, we assume they will expire.
And just for somebody who doesn't know, it started off at 50 years?
No, so they do now. So like Riviera was 50 years, but I think then it was 30
Well, it kind of
Derek,
depended
do you know?
on the resort. So Old Key West went on sale in 1991. So that had 50. But then Vero came out a few years after that. So they kind of got a little bit less, like all the way up to Boulder Ridge, which was known as the villas at Disney's Wilderness Lodge. That wasn't a full 50. So it wasn't until probably a little bit that next wave kind of started, which is like 2054, which is, I think, Saratoga, and then Animal Kingdom 57, and then so forth.
So
and so
some
forth.
of them were shorter, and I think now they're sticking with like the 50 years.
I thought it was a good to perceive the difference between what the value is between 20 years and whatever the others are.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you purchase into one of these resorts currently, it is a shorter length of a contract, and it is something to consider in the buying process. And I thought that would be a good place to start, Derek, is, what kind of conversations do you have with people that are considering a 2042 resort?
Yes, this is the conversation you mentioned and said, this is a conversation that we have, this time of year. This is a conversation I have probably 20 times a day with folks. And I love this conversation. I truly do. I'm been a Disney Vacation Club member for over 20 years. I own at Disney's Boardwalk Resort. So blessed enough to sell this product for many, many, many years direct with Disney, now here at the DVC resale market. And I can tell you when folks ask about 2042 and they tell me and say, you know what, Derek, we love the Boardwalk. We love the Beach Club. We love Boulder Ridge, but it's always the but. But, it's that 2042 date. It kind of sticks across. I'm not quite sure. And what I always have to stress to people, and I mean this, and I shout it from the rooftops, is everybody sees value in different ways. So when people look at joining Disney Vacation Club, some folks will look at it, and again, all my spreadsheet folks out there that will run the numbers and put them in spreadsheets, expiration date, some people take into account, I just want to look for the lowest price Disney Vacation Club ownership, right? I don't care about anything else. I just want the lowest price. Other people will look and say, listen, this is a long-term investment, so I think I'm looking at the annual dues. Right? So I want to find the one that's got the best and the cheapest annual dues. Other folks will literally look to say, okay, I want to know how many years are left, because I'm not going to buy it if it's, 20 years versus 50 years. I don't care about the resort. I just want the longest term. Everybody sees value in different ways. And what I can tell you is for those folks that love the Beach Club, Boulder Ridge, the Boardwalk, they see the value in not being sad at 7 months out when they go online to try to book something else and say they bought the cheapest one for the dues, they bought the cheapest one for the price per point, they bought whatever's got the longest deed, but in their heart of hearts they know, man, it's 7 months out. I hope I get the Beach Club. Oh, God, it's already booked up. I got to wait list it. Or I got one night at the Beach Club and I got to wait list the rest. The folks that buy those properties, they buy it because it's the peace of mind. They don't care about 2042. They want to know for the next 20 years of their life, they're going to be able to get in to the resort that they love, make the memories with their families at the resort that they love. Maybe it's staying at the best pool on Disney property. Maybe it's strolling over to Epcot during all the festivals. It's the peace of mind. That's where those folks see the value in 2042, truly. And they just don't mind. They're like, Derek, I'm X amount years old. I don't care, 20 years. I remember buying mine when I was in my 20s. Now I'm 50. Something now when I look, and I still look and go, oh my God, I still got 20 more years left of this club. So the value's there, but it just depends, where do you see the value? And if you're someone that loves, and I had a great conversation with a great member, Brian, I know you're watching, he recently added on some points at Boulder Ridge because he saw the value. He knows about 2042. He saw the value in, we want to go during December. Yep. We know that the Wilderness Lodge is probably the hardest resort to get into in the month of December. So Derek, I'm adding on these points because I don't want to have to worry and be disappointed at 7 months out. So that's why I'm buying it. So I know for the next 20 years, I'm going to celebrate the month of December in the coolest Disney Vacation Club resort and not be sad at that 7 months. I'm all about trying to make people not sad. I want to make them happy.
Amen, Derek.
Yeah. I could not agree more, Derek. I think that at the end of the day, even a lot of the people that have the spreadsheets and whatever, like I'm not a spreadsheet person, DVC is just as much as an emotional purchase.
Here.
You know what I mean? As it is financial. Even for us, for Paul and I think it's even more. Obviously we made sure financially we could afford it, but it was emotional. And that's why we bought Boardwalk as well. And we were even suckers and we bought it direct because we wanted a small contract and we couldn't find one for a long, long time. So we ended up if we had held out for like another month,
I'm pretty sure Derek emailed me a week later with the contract.
Yeah, we were being impatient. But like it's emotional. Like and it's the same thing. I don't want to be sad. I want to be at the boardwalk for the Food and Wine Festival or for the Festival of the Arts or for whatever. So if that's what makes you happy, then the other stuff doesn't really matter as much because life is too short to just not be happy. But the other thing is that I actually hear a lot of people that say, actually, if you think about it, 20 years might be just enough. You know what I mean? Unless you really have people that you want to give your contracts to, in 20 years, like we'll be 30, 40, 50 something. So by then we also have other contracts that will still be in motion, but by then we might decide to do something else. I don't know. So
it always brings me back to a conversation where people used to tell me that when I would talk to folks about Disney Vacation Club, and then they would bring up and say, I like your product, but I own Hilton or I own Marriott and blah blah blah, but the thing about Disney, I don't know if I like it, is that it just kind of ends, so I don't really own anything, but I own my Hilton, I own my Marriott forever. And I'm like, great, so tell me, what are you going to do with that timeshare in the year 3098? I mean, truly, do you really care at that point? And that's when folks have to realize, would you rather have truly 20 years of the best, most magical vacation staying at the resort that you truly love versus, 2,000 years of mediocre vacation staying off of Disney property?
And annual dues you will never get away from, ever.
You guys have made me think of, two great points on this in the whole 2042 debate that sort of harken home in listening to you guys discuss things. The first one is, over at DVC Rental Store, the number one most requested resort is Beach Club for guests that are looking to rent points. But it can never, it is very rarely fulfilled. And to your point, Derek, the people that bought at Beach Club bought because they love Beach Club, bought because they want to go to Storm Long Bay. So it is extremely rare that members over there rent their points. And so we're always, going back to guests and stuff like that and having conversations with them going like, hey, I think you should have a backup option because Beach Club is the smallest Disney Vacation Club.
You're like, the pool's not that great. I mean, I'm trying to sell them on another resort.
Yeah. Boardwalk used to have this cool pool. It had this clown. It was creepy. It's like he came out his mouth. Like it was.
His hair looked like SpaghettiOs.
SpaghettiOs, yes.
It does. It totally does.
They missed an opportunity there in selling like little locks of the clown hair.
Okay, that's just creepy.
Not as creepy as this guy right here. With his, just sit the hair right next to that guy.
They could have served the kids a bowl of clown hair and it could have just been SpaghettiOs.
Oh my goodness. That should have been at the pool bar.
Yeah, would have been perfect. Sell for $5. You buy it for 99 cents.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, I mean, it is an emotional purchase. It was an emotional purchase for us. And the other thing that I also hear from members all the time is members that maybe their kids have grown up and now they're looking for new and creative ways to use their points or something like that. And buying a 2042 resort sort of alleviates that problem. Like if you've got, some young kids in your family and that you want to take them to Disney during sort of their childhood years and live those memories, stuff like that. But you sort of are saying to yourself at the same time, after they grow up, after they move out, I'm probably not looking for that vacation lifestyle as much. 2042 resort is kind of the perfect resort for you in that situation. And honestly, some of these properties are the most beautiful properties out there, which gets me to sort of a little bit of a segue, which is a lot of these properties right now are getting beautified. They are either recently refurbished or getting refurbishments that are coming soon. Both Beach Club and Boardwalk are on the refurbishment schedule for this year. Boulder Ridge is currently under its refurbishment. We've seen some of the early pictures of it. It looks absolutely beautiful, breathtaking.
Yeah. Vera Beach is on the schedule. I think maybe for our soft goods. I think Vera Beach looks awesome though. Like we were just there in May.
I agree.
That's the one you're
great.
scared about. Like it's like, do you touch that one? Or?
That might be me one of my favorite DVC rooms of all time is the
Did you stay in the inn?
the Ocean View Inn room.
It's the best. It's the best place to stay. I never stay in a regular studio. Always get the inn rooms, and their decor in there is perfect. And it's got the big pictures of the turtle. I mean, everything in that room is just it's awesome.
Yeah, the inn rooms are essentially above sort of the downstairs lobby and stuff like that of the main building at Vero Beach. So they do have a bunch of rooms in there. They have some that are oceanfront, so that you can actually look out to the ocean. The other studio properties are then out in the other buildings around the Vero Beach Resort. For those of you wondering, but all of these resorts are getting some good refurbishments
and
right
Hilton
now.
Head is coming up too.
Hilton Head's coming up too, and honestly, if anything, I think that would signal that prices on these resorts are probably going to go up again after they get a little bit better looking.
That's what typically happens. I mean, if you take Saratoga Springs, that for the longest time, people were like, I don't want Saratoga. I don't want Saratoga. Once they did those rehab on those rooms, they're phenomenal, and there might be some folks at home too, that are thinking, well, why would I I've never stayed at the Boardwalk. I've never stayed at the Beach Club. So why is it such a big deal for me to own there? Again, when y'all bought Disney Vacation Club, or when you buy it, you're thinking of, but the best part about it is I own one, but I can try all these other resorts out. So what's happened over the years since these resorts were open is someone that bought a different resort, all of a sudden they maybe lucked out and got into the Boardwalk, or they got into the Beach Club at that 7-month mark. And then they went, wow, I don't want to stay anywhere else. But man, it was really hard to be able to get into this resort. So I think I'm going to add points because I want to have that little security blanket. Same thing with Vero Beach, where people stay at Vero. There's lots of room choices, but Vero's probably the coolest because they have cottages that are right on the beach. I think there's 6.
There are 6.
6.
And you have to own them to get them.
Have to own them to get them. And they're phenomenal. So I have members all the time that will call us and add on points at Vero because maybe they don't want a cottage every year, but hey, I'm going to add on points. So maybe once every other year, once every 3 years, I can have that security blanket. And like I said, the same thing with Boulder Ridge, trying to get in there during the Christmas time when it's the coolest resort out of all of them. There's reasons to own all of them.
I didn't call him the Vero Beach East Coast Ambassador for nothing.
And for Boardwalk and Beach Club, I mean, those 2 resorts are location.
Thank you.
You are in the Crescent Lake area. Whichever one you stay at, you can walk to the other. You've got Swan and Dolphin and Swan Reserve right there. Lots of great restaurants, an easy walk away. Walk to Hollywood Studios, walk to Boardwalk. If you don't feel like walking, there's boats, there's Skyliner. It's just an amazing location. So.
Yeah.
Another real thing to talk about here with 2042 is we are speculating, but we have absolutely no idea what is going to happen in 2042.
You told me you did know. That's why I'm here.
I've gone to the future in the DeLorean, and I have come back. And,
pure clickbait, Paul.
But honestly, we don't know what Disney Vacation Club is going to do. And honestly speaking, I don't think Disney Vacation Club knows what they're going to do.
Oh, I don't even think the people who are going to make that decision are even employees of DVC yet.
Have they been born yet?
They might not even be born.
Yeah. You just we honestly it's pure speculation. I think when you look at how Disney management functions, it's really year to year, bonus to bonus, budget to budget. And so maybe there's this 10-year plan or this 20-year plan that they have in place, but that plan shifts every time they do something new. Yeah. And so what they're thinking is probably, your guess is probably as good as mine. And we can only use what we've seen happen in history as maybe some guidance, but I'm pretty sure that an extension is maybe not on the table. Derek, did you live through the old Key West?
I lived through the old Key West extension. Not that an extension is off the table, but definitely not the way that they handled the first extension. And I think just like you said, Paul, too, Disney's just trying to make it through 2023. You know what I mean? They're yes, like Amy said, probably they haven't thought about 2042. And people ask us all the time and be like, well, so what's going to happen at the end of it? I'm like, just plan on it ending. Yeah. Truly, just plan on it ending. Plan on, I don't care if it's 20 years or 50 years, or the best vacations you've ever taken, but at this point, plan on it ending, because Disney did try back, I want to say 2000, 2009, when I was a direct guide with Disney, they offered the owners of Old Key West, all the owners of the first DVC resort, Old Key West, they offered them an extension and basically said in polite Disney language, hey, I know you love your membership. How would you like an additional 15 years to add on? So now your Old Key West will expire in 2057 versus 2042. And we're going to offer you to, I think it was at the time, like maybe $15 a point or something like that, like $15, $20 a point.
Where do I sign?
Yeah. Well, that was, I think, the logic was like, who would say no to that?
Yeah.
A lot of people said no to that. A lot of people did. Because at the end of the day, people looked and said, okay, Disney, I love you. I have how many more years of this Old Key West? I've got like 30 more years left. So I don't care if I have 300 points and you charge me $10 a point. No offense. I don't want to give you $3,000 now for something that ain't going to kick in for 30 more years. Yeah. So you've got a huge disparaging number of Old Key West owners whose ownership will, because they said no thanks, will expire in 2042. Then you've got the 2057s for the few people that did it. And then if you buy an Old Key West contract direct from Disney, those are automatically extended till 2057. So you have this kind of, disparity that's out there. So I'm telling you, there's no way that anytime soon that they're going to be saying, hey, boardwalk owners, how would you like to pay for this? That's not going to happen until 2042.
And they've been cleaning up the mess of that extension for years. I know that they sent quit claim deeds to the members that chose not to extend. And they were like, you must sign this. And they were like, you can't make me sign this.
Disney's contract team, I truly remember this. And we would have phone nights when we were a vacation club guide. And Disney would literally hand you like a list and say, here's a couple hundred Old Key West members, try to get them to extend. And then you put them up there and you're having these conversations. And then if they don't, the contract team then had to follow up with all of those people that chose no and said, we understand that you chose not to extend, but you need to sign this. And then you chase them again. Hey, have you signed it yet? Have you signed that yet? So it was just a mess on a lot of different levels.
And there's a reason probably why they've been aggressive with right of first refusal efforts at Old Key West as well to get all of those points probably that aren't extended, because essentially that's got to be the goal at this point, is to fully extend Old Key West to the 2057 date by the time we get to 2042 so that they don't have a bigger issue. I'm really curious. I want to talk to the holdouts though. When if 20 years from now we're sitting in this room and doing this show, I want a holdout to come on in this show and be like, okay, so what happened this year? Because everyone else is still there, but you're not. Can you go? Do you still have your membership? I have many questions for you. I've said for the longest time, the big thing that I think in 2042 is there's going to have to be some sort of offer to all of those members. It might not be an extension. It just is going to be something, I think, because you're talking about 6 properties that are all scheduled to close.
Well,
at the
and
same
some
time.
of them, obviously you're right. When you have 6 properties that are going to expire at the same time, they're going to lose all those annual dues that are being paid by other people. But some of them, like Vero Beach and Hilton Head, will they really keep those, or will they, sell them off? And then, no, obviously they're not going to do that with Disney properties. But they have options, right? They could redo it and turn it into a new association. They could tear Old Key West down, I guess, if they wanted to. Not until it expires in 57. But just an example, they could just, start over if they wanted to. So it's just, you don't know what's going to happen. It's interesting.
Yeah. I've said my guess for the longest time is just going to be that there's going to be, obviously I think they do shutter some of these properties originally, fully refurbish them, just do a full gut and refurbishment and then resell them as a new Disney Vacation Club property. But I think there is going to have to be some offer to all of these people, because Disney's not going to want to lose all of that annual business all within that same year. And you can argue that, those people will just go pay cash rooms. Well, no, they won't. We've drank the Kool-Aid. We know the value that Disney Vacation Club is, so we're not going to go then every year and pay cash prices. And so I think they do have to offer some sort of...
Maybe just a discount on the new membership. One thing that I definitely makes me lean towards there not being an extension and just keeping, the same association is I think that they are starting to regret how low the point charts are at Boardwalk and
Old Key West.
and Old Key West. Yeah, especially when you compare it to the point charts at like Riviera. You mean like this? They're just very low compared to the popularity of, especially Beach Club and Boardwalk. They're so popular, and you can get a room for, 15 points a night. That's pretty cheap.
You can get a 1-bedroom at Old Key West for the price of a studio at Riviera.
Yeah,
that's such a good point, because people will ask and say, "Oh, so if they're not a member, like, so the point's going to change and like increase and blah blah blah." And I use the Old Key West point chart as a perfect example of that. And that's why you join the club, is because when they built that point chart, each point chart has a total number of points that are assigned to that point chart. That total can never, ever increase. They can obviously flip things around and change the dates and all that. But that Old Key West part, for example, literally you can get, the rooms are 20+% less points than any other resort. And the rooms are 20% bigger than any other resort. So when they're building all these new resorts, like you said, Riviera, even the Polynesian and the bungalow, you know what I mean? Oh, well, Polynesian bungalows, they messed that one up. They way too many. But that's what it comes down to, and that's the value of why people join the club, because I stress to people all the time, and I'm like, listen, the people that bought in 1991 are using the same point chart, for every Disney Vacation Club resort, that if you bought it for $51 a point direct in 1991, you're paying $200+ a point now. You're using the same Old Key West point chart. It's just you paid more for it.
And that's a big one for the number crunchers out there as well. 150 points at one of these 2042 resorts are going to get you a lot further at those properties than 150 points would at Riviera or something like that.
Great point.
So, I mean, it's definitely something to consider for the number crunchers or the people that are doing all of that spreadsheet work. Is you're going to have that 7 to 11 month window at those premium at that resort that is your home resort, and you're going to get more out of those points that way. So.
Oh yeah, and if you can get a standard view at Boardwalk, those are
gonna say.
I know, we got a whole week. It was so cheap.
People ask all the time, be like, I don't own the Boardwalk, but, I think we're going to try to get like a standard view studio at the Boardwalk at 7 months out. And I said, when? During Food and Wine Festival. Hey, I will start praying for you now, just because, like you said, the odds of getting those rooms, because people ask and say, what are the hardest rooms to get? The hardest rooms to get at any Disney Vacation Club resort are studios with the worst views. Those are always going to be the hardest ones to get. Because they're the cheapest points, right? So it doesn't matter. But yeah, so if you see those point charts and look to say, I really want to stay at the Boardwalk during, I think they have a festival 365 days a year at Epcot now. But if you want to stay there at the Boardwalk and get a studio standard view, you need to own that. You need to be able to be on there and ready to book at 11 months out, not hoping.
So Panda, what 2042 resort are you adding on at next?
I don't know. Now I'm kind of sold.
I think at the end of the day, it really just goes back to each individual situation is different. For the number crunchers out there, it may not make sense, but for families like Amy and I, it made perfect sense to buy into Boardwalk. And it goes back to the number one thing that we always say: buy where you want to stay, buy where makes you happy, buy what makes sense for you and your family. Because that's the point of all of this. That's the point of Disney Vacation Club. That's the point of the magic of all of this.
I have no regrets about Riviera, and I followed Amy's advice: buy where you want to go. Because I don't know, there's some guy. Do you ever hear of Nick Cotton?
I have no idea who he is.
I've heard fantastic things about him.
Strange little man, but thinks he's smarter than me with money. I mean, I have $10 saved. So no, but he was explaining to me like, no, don't do Riviera, do Grand Floridian, because to him, investor guy, he knows what he's doing. And he's like, no, the resale, this and this and this. And I am not smart like that.
Right.
So I went where my heart is, and I'm happy I did, but I do feel in some cases, go where your heart is if it's not an investable thing. If you're not doing it for the investing.
And no matter what you look at in terms of numbers, it all makes sense. It just, some make more sense than others. It all makes sense if you're that person that has been constantly going to Disney, paying rack rate prices in the moderate, in the deluxe, in whatever it might be. Disney Vacation Club is going to save you money.
Yeah.
Like, there's hands down no argument to that, regardless of where you buy, what contract you choose, what expiration year it is. So that's I think what put us here. That's why we're members and all of that.
And be proud of it. I mean, we know on, DVC Fan, everybody that joins, the first thing that they always say is, I'm so excited. I'm a proud owner of XXX Resort. and they always justify, this is why I love it, because we had memories here and we want to be able to stay here and there. Not a lot of people go, I'm an owner of this resort because over the next 35 years, I'm going to save approximately 16.2% minus the this, and this. It's all about that feeling that you get that you're happy. This is your home. You're part of the Disney family. So buy what makes you happy. But don't buy that little toy.
Don't buy that.
Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of the DVC Show. On behalf of all of us here and Gremlin Mickey, I hope you guys have a great week. Come back for more next week. We'll see you all later.
Look into my eyes.